We saw Elon Musk take kind of a powerful role in his power over the Republican caucus. That surprised me, I guess. Maybe it shouldn't have. Did anything about how he wielded his power surprise you?
Well, many people throughout the Capitol are saying that he has perhaps emerged as the leader of the Republican Party moving forward, and we'll have to see how that plays itself out over the next few weeks, next few months, and next few years.
Is this going to wear thin with Donald Trump soon?
I don't think so. I mean, look, they appear to be getting along well. Musk was very instrumental in his victory. And I hear Democrats, criticizing the idea that we have unelected people with too much influence over the government. I invite them to pick up the Wall Street Journal from this week and find out that unelected people have been running the government for the last 4 years. I hear Democrats criticizing the influence of billionaires on our politics when you've got this Soros punk running around collecting Democrat politicians like my kids collect Pokemon cards.
Man, that sucked. They didn't get the payoff. Scott Jennings talking about Pokemon cards at the very end. Damn it. I, of course, was watching Rumble, and I turned the volume up because I was just checking it out. I am generally, I'm not going to stick on this. I just have to say I'm generally starting to get a little bit worried because of this strange, sudden, intense sort of, what's it called, a narcolepsy that seems to be I'm genuinely kind of concerned because I swear, last night when I started the stream, I was feeling as upbeat as I feel today. As the last stream I did to completion, if you guys were here for my last full stream, it was over 2 hours, and not one time that I feel like the energy level dropped. And yet, doing the next stream, and I'm falling asleep in the middle of the episode again. Like why? What the hell? Now, I have brainstormed, because I just have looked at the situation and thought, what can I do? Can't I do something to, I'm trying to and am getting more sleep, although I obviously would say it's not enough. It's just been, and of course it's the holidays. It's a little hectic, but even so, I used to be unable to go to sleep in a bed with, my pajamas and full bedding and, really comfortable. Now I can literally fall asleep, I can fall out of my chair and stay asleep. I don't know when this sudden change happened, and quite frankly, I really don't understand how in the middle of a show where I'm talking and I have a coherent set of thoughts and I just suddenly lose them and start belligerently babbling, which, I will admit, it is funny, although it was a little scary on my end because I just watched just to see, okay, how bad is it? Oh man, it's what the hell's going on? So I brainstormed all this morning, and I thought, okay, I have one thing I can do when things are going like that, and I haven't thought of doing this yet, which is so stupid. I should have thought of this before, but if I start to feel that way, take a be right back. Everybody takes a short break. Almost every stream I've ever watched, even after just 30 minutes. But I still don't because I just don't think about it for whatever reason. The fun. And somebody's, of course, calling me right now, but I don't care. Whatever. Anyway, so yeah, I don't know why I never just thought, hit the be right back button, stand up, grab a monster, chug it real quick, do whatever you got to do to wake yourself up, and then come back in, do the rest. I think that would make a huge difference because honestly, if I just snap to attention, stand up, and here's the other reason why. Yesterday when I finished the stream, I watched. I didn't even get sleepy again for another couple hours. I couldn't even. I ended up playing Stalker 2 for about an hour, and then And I was like, what? How am I doing this? What the hell happened? So it makes no sense. I'm really sorry, you guys. I don't know what the hell's going on. It's really weird. It's really, really strange. And it is something that other people have pointed out to me, because it doesn't just happen in streams. And I haven't mentioned that yet. But I mean, there's been people who walk in and, see me, as I said, dead asleep on the floor, usually in a weird sort of awkward position that looks very uncomfortable. And have to wake me up and make me move, because they don't want me uncomfortable all night and waking up. Because the really bad part is when I, when you fall asleep and your hand is like smashed underneath your shoulder or your elbow or something, and you wake up, it's got that feeling like it's asleep or whatever, and then you have to shake it off all morning to get it to feel normal. That will happen regularly when you fall asleep in a weird position, and or you just fall asleep with your leg in an uncomfortable way, and then you wake up, you almost have to limp because it's sore. It really sucks. It really sucks, and I don't understand why. It would make more sense if I got done with the episode, I turned it off, and then I went to go do something else, and then I just passed right back out again. But that's not what happens. It's like and when I'm starting the show, that's not what happens either. If I had any indication that I was going to be getting tired or something, I'd be like, sorry guys, I just don't think I can do it. But I seriously, and I think it's kind of evident too, if you see, I take them down, obviously, and just being honest, because I don't think there's really much to gain from them when I get them done, because about half of it is a point, and then the other half is nothing but maybe a video clip if you're lucky. But the point is that I take them down because I just don't think it's that important. But I did think about it, and was thinking, what happened? And I was, like I said, I watched the clip, and at the beginning I was feeling great, and it looked like the same thing. It looked like I was just, in the normal mood, ready to do a stream. There was nothing wrong. And then partway through, and it wasn't the topics either. I was enjoying, which is why we're going to at least go over them today, because God damn it, there was stuff that made me laugh. I think they'll make you guys laugh too. You guys probably have seen a couple of the clips already, but either way, it's just too good, because Don Lemon is asking for it these days with his. I don't know how you well, we'll get into that in a second. But anyway, hold on. Yeah, there we go. Okay. Sorry, I needed the volume up a little bit more. But yeah, I really am starting to get concerned, to the point that, as I mentioned down below, I think I probably, next time I have a doctor visit, I think I need to bring this up to my doctor, because quite honestly, I don't know what would be causing it. And my mom has also brought up the idea of narcolepsy being potentially. Now, see, the thing is, it doesn't happen in every situation, the most notable of which, I think I've made mention of this before. One thing that I can't ever really fall asleep while doing is driving. I never, ever have a situation where I'm driving and I start to feel like I'm nodding off or anything. That has never come close. Now, I'm not saying it couldn't potentially come close, but I've never had that come close. And I drive, I used to commute 45 minutes up, 45 minutes back every day to work when I was tattooing. Actually, longer than that. It used to be about an hour and 15 minutes up, an hour and 15 minutes back when I was working even further away. I mean, I've done long freeway trips. I'm usually the designated driver whenever people are tired, because they know that I won't fall asleep. But that's why it's so strange, is that one doesn't do it, but this one does. And there's several others that do, and several others that don't. And I just don't understand why, but I really it just seems weird that I can be doing a stream, and like I said, I'd start with no indication that anything's wrong, and just pass out in the middle. But I have, like I said, decided I think I'm going to utilize the Be Right Back just for a quick, 5-minute break, just to get my. Oops, sorry. And that's another thing too. I'm actually going to be getting a new mic stand pretty soon. I like the low profile mic stands that are coming out from every freaking damn vendor now at this point. By the way, I found this out the other day. Just a quick side note, because I thought it was interesting. If you guys ever have watched Joe Rogan or PBD podcast or some of the bigger podcasts, if you ever see those big black low profile microphone stands that are desk mounted, I never knew what those were until I finally found them on this music and music gear site that I go to. It's called Sweetwater. They've got great gear. Shout out to them. I'm not paid by them or anything, but yeah, they got a lot of sweet stuff there. I just ordered. I got my new preamp from there, and I also just ordered a new. I needed a desk, but this time I wanted the desk to have the audio or signal processors, the rack for it built into the table, as opposed to having to buy a rack that goes underneath the table like I'm using now, which is just dumb. It's uncomfortable. It's hard to move. This time it'll just all be in one thing, which is really sweet. But anyway, the point is that I'd never seen that stand actually until I just saw it on their site the other day, and I was like, oh, there's that mic stand I see everywhere. The stand alone, and by the way, if you're familiar with desk-mounted or desk-clamped microphone stands, you know that you could get a cheap one for like $30 or $40. You have to spend probably around 65, 70, maybe 80 to $100 to get a pretty good one, really good one. And if you want like one of the really, really good ones, it's usually around $120. I've never seen one that was higher than $200. That was the record until I saw this one. $340 generally for one of those mic stands. I was stunned. And the icing on the cake is they don't come with a clamp to or a desk mount to actually put it in. You have to choose one of like 4 different kinds that they offer and buy that too on top of it, and the cheapest one is $60. So you're looking at basically $400 for any version, bare minimum, of that mic stand. It's a great mic stand, but man, $400, jeez. I got this blue because I wanted one that was like solid. I didn't want one that had springs. I don't like the ones that are 2 pieces that split and then open back up. I really don't like those designs. And I did try. I'm not. The only thing I like from Elgato is 2 things. I do like 2 things from Elgato. I like their Stream Decks, which I hate to admit it, but I do like their Stream Decks. They're very, very convenient, very intuitive, and easy to use, just because mostly the software for them is always easy to find, and they're the most common brand, so they have the biggest monopoly on like plugins and apps for it and stuff. But the other thing from Elgato is the Cam Link, because I use mirrorless cameras for my cam setup, so I have to have some kind of converter for it, and I actually am going to switch that, by the way, soon. I'll tell you more about that at some point. But the reason I'm even bringing this up is because I did buy an Elgato low-profile desktop mic stand, and I was really excited to try it because I thought, man, these are really cool. They have the low profile. They actually have the cord. You can actually open up the inside and tuck the cord in, and unlike a lot of them where you have to really pull it apart to you feel like you're going to break it just to get the cord compartment open. This one's magnetized, so you just have to pull it off and just slide the cord in and put it back on. Unfortunately, it's crappy in every other regard. Like if your mic weighs anything more than, like a very basic USB mic, which of course I'm using, like one of the most expensive broadcast mics you can get. Although I will say this, when it comes to microphones, if you're ever trying to get your stuff together to make content, whatever you do, it's two things you cannot skimp on. You cannot skimp on your mic, and you cannot skimp on your audio interface. Those are the two things. Do not skimp on those. Those are make or break things. But anyway, the Elgato mic stand, it just, you can't put any weight on it. Even if you, like, I've tried to tighten it up with a damn wrench, and it still is hard to make sure it's holding its own. Now, granted, my mic is a little awkward, but even so, I mean, like, I actually used a SM7B on it before too. So I mean, I used and I think that one, I would say arguably, it probably weighs more than the RE20, at least without the shock mount. Maybe with the shock mount, you probably have a little bit more weight on the RE20, but as it stands on its own, I think the SM7B is probably a little bit more heavy. So, but there is one benefit to it that would kind of give it a little bit of an edge, which is that it's more built to be able to be standing the opposite of mine, like if you have it tilted up this way. So, like, you can do that with this one, but you can't use the shock mount. I've tried, and it sags way too much. It's just not, for some reason, it just feels like it wasn't meant to, like, hang that direction. It was meant to hang from this direction. So I don't know, but it does have a alternate mic clamp that you could use to attach it to a mic stand. I'm nerding out because I'm talking about music gear, and I'm sorry, but anyway, I thought that was kind of interesting because I had been looking for that particular mic stand for a long time. I did find two that are low profile that I like very much, and I'm leaning more towards one than the other. I'll basically go over that when I get it. Of course, I don't want to knock any company or praise any company until I actually try something. But like, I will say that that last thing I'll say is that I was talking about how excited I was just before Christmas with I first got that new compressor from Behringer, and then I got the new preamp from Behringer, and these are the yeah, that's right. They're the Midas interior component designed with a 1273 KT preamp and the 389 KT compressor, and if you look those up, they're amazingly good, and the price point is incredible for what they are, because I was looking at a preamp because I had a warm preamp that was the warm Black Beast that I was using before I got this one. My problem was that it was only a single channel mic preamp. It didn't have even input for a second mic, which I do want to do some recording of instruments at some point, guitar and vocals probably more than anything else, but maybe some other stuff. But either way, if I'm going to record music, I'm going to need to have two mics, because recording on any kind of, especially acoustic instrument, you're going to want stereo miking to be able to catch all the dynamics of it. It's, if you don't know about audio, this is all going to sound really strange. But my brother's a real, like I've said before, he's probably the guy that really helped to inform me more than anybody else, except for one other guy that really helped me out early on, my buddy Tony, who's also the guitar player, by the way, in the intro track that we have on every episode. That's my old band, me on drums and him on guitar, and my friend Brad on bass. And someday maybe I'll let you guys listen to the whole album. It's pretty good. But I miss those days, man, because that was fun. But either way, we got an album that and it is a full. I mean, it was a long, drawn out process for recording the whole studio album on that one. It was 12 tracks, about, I think it was 56 minutes long, and it was rough getting it all done, but it was one of the most important experiences I ever got to be a part of, and really enjoyed it. But it was just like one of those situations that's bittersweet, because it was, I've talked about this before, but it was like a that close but just didn't happen sort of situation. I won't rehash it now, but unfortunately that was just that was me reaching the highest I could on my music endeavors, and I've played music since, but not really seriously. So anyway, I'm on weird subjects I shouldn't be on. This led into a strange conversation, so sorry about that. But anyway, hope you guys are doing well today on this lovely Friday afternoon, wherever you are, or evening. So with that out of the way about yesterday, I figured, since I liked the subject and I didn't finish last night, and since, it was so late, I don't know how many people were here and how many people weren't. And just in general, it's worth a good laugh. And I had some other clips that I didn't have time to prepare. Now I've got them ready, and so we could go over those. And I can briefly touch on the first topic, which I can just focus on just by a really quick overview, and then we can move into the main subject. Plus, there's some other stuff I wanted to talk about, so I'm not going to do it today, but I've got the clips sitting around, and it could be done any time, because it's not, as long as it's, between now and probably the inauguration, because one thing's definitely going to be the case. I'm going to predict at this point that what we're seeing right now from most left-wing media is what we're going to see every day from every news cycle, from every legacy media outlet, and every freaking, corporate mainstream media organization under the sun. They're all going to be doing the same thing. They're going to be trying to rationalize and make excuses for the Democrat Party, and basically just coping as hard as they can. Places that are like Fox or places that are more corporate news organizations that are leading right are going to kind of be more moderate, and they're not going to really gloat, but they're probably going to kind of watch and chuckle as essentially the left kind of has one last stretch of time to make fools of themselves. And boy, are they ever. I mean, we've got Kamala Harris, who's just vanished. We've got Joe Biden, who has been on perpetual vacation. We find out that everything was true that we ever believed, because no one knows if Joe Biden really made any decisions from Afghanistan until now. No one knows who actually has been making the final call on just about anything. We just know it hasn't been Biden. So, yeah, it's getting very strange, especially considering that right now, with Biden on vacation all the time and Harris nowhere to be found, it's like they're like, well, Trump, you're elected, you handle all this. It's like Trump has literally been more prominently in a position of leadership, and more prominently the person looked to for leadership amongst everybody, not just even the Republican Party. The Democrats, even though they obviously don't like it, are looking at this like, well, there's no other president. We have to have somebody that is in the executive doing something. I don't know where Merrick Garland went. I haven't seen him. I don't know where. Well, I know where Christopher Wray is. He's getting packed up and trying to probably get in and out as fast as possible, to just grab his belongings and leave. I don't know where Alejandro Mayorkas was until he gave that interview that he was trying to gloss over his what he thought was such a rosy job on the border that yeah, fantastic. You know, we've seen hundreds of thousands of Americans get killed by illegals and fentanyl, and you lying every step of the way through it. That's amazing. You know, I'm man, what a successful record. But God, he's just, after watching that last interview, he's the same weaselly little rat that he's always been. I swear, he's just got nothing redeeming about him whatsoever. And for Chuck Schumer to to dismiss the impeachment that the House passed, and just not even debate it, not discuss it, just to vote to dismiss it, and it gets dismissed because there's a majority Democrat Senate, that was a slap in the face to every citizen of the country, every member of the House of Representatives, and honestly, a good chunk of the actual Senate, that the actual people there who actually care about the country and care about the Constitution. As I've said before, Mike Lee, Ron Johnson, Rand Paul, Ron Paul's too, but he's not a senator. Yeah, you got those guys, John Kennedy. You got those guys that are really always trying to fight the good fight, but most of the Republican, especially Republican leadership, is just there to kind of get their paycheck and go home. And Mitch is just like trying to make sure that he can get through the next speech without freezing up again. That's just, it blows my mind that he's still doing that whole thing and acting like he can do this job. It's the same as Joe Biden, where on the right you got somebody who is obviously too mentally impaired to do this work, has been there for since the Stone Age, and when does someone step down? Well, nobody steps down anymore. You have another congresswoman who was apparently in a nursing home for like a month or something. No one knew more than that, I think. Nobody knew where she was. Nobody bothered to really dig to find out. They just found her staff saying that, oh yes, she's not, she hasn't been feeling well, so she's not in the office today. But when that goes on for as long as it has, and she was also, I don't know if this was at the time she disappeared, but she was a chairman or chairwoman of a committee of some kind, and I can't remember what it was, but it was a fairly predominant committee. I'm surprised as hell that that was how the both sides decide, well, yeah, let's do this. Let's do it that way. It's, man, talk about having a shitty way to govern. That's just like, that's the bottom of the barrel kind of way to govern. But anyway, but I'm predicting right now that we're going to see legacy media just kind of stir things up until inauguration, when who knows what they're going to do. I don't know. Is it going to be another Russia? Is it going to be a different tactic? Are they going to? All I know for sure is they are not going to just, make nice with Donald Trump and agree to anything. He could come out with his hand outreached to try and let bygones be bygones, and they wouldn't accept it, I would guess, because they genuinely believe that they don't believe he's a threat. They don't believe that he's this totalitarian or some sort of dictator or whatever. They just hate him because he's got a different political ideology than theirs, and of course they're always right, because their religion, political party is the only true political philosophy. God, I don't know, one or the other. It's just it's incredible how they will go to bat for these kinds of things, and yet the exact same thing happens on, it's talked about all the time. It's always a cliche, but it's a cliche because it's so accurate. And once again, going back to the latest thing with the January 6th FBI report of how many confidential human sources were present, and if you think that they weren't doing anything at all to incite any kind of actions that would at least at the bare minimum, be something that would be frowned on or looked at as a serious breach of your responsibilities as a citizen to not follow the instructions of law enforcement or of the elected leadership, to not obstruct. I'm not going to say I'm not going to say the peaceful transfer of power, because that was just that was not even about that. That was about it was about trying to demonize Trump as much as possible, so that even if there were questions about the election, they could bury it, and they got exactly what they wanted in that. But two questions onto, if anybody that would think that that was the case. First one, first of all, how do you explain Ray Epps? Because that was a pretty compelling case that, once again, has so much evidence behind it. The night before he's calling to go into the Capitol, everybody recognizes that's not a good idea that's around him, and are like, no, we're not doing that. Fed, and he must be a Fed, which turns out he was indeed a federal informant. But this whole situation has been the other side, of things, which is kind of the scarier side as far as like what they're going to do, is like, because of the potential that they've lied before, that we have no reason to believe anything they say, because they've done nothing but lie for a long time. So when they say it was 26 or 27 agent or confidential human sources, okay, who were they? What were they doing? And why did you not tell us about it? Were they in the building before the doors opened? And what was the purpose? Because we know they were. What was the purpose of that? Something else that was brought up the other day that I hadn't even thought of, because I look at the thing like it's a joke, the quote-unquote gallows that was there to hang Mike Pence. Well, first of all, the thing looks like it couldn't hold the weight of a child, so I don't know, what exactly... I'm downplaying a little bit, but I mean, that's not going to hold Mike Pence's body weight, of course. That little rinky-dink thing looks like it would fall apart if he walked on it. But the other thing about that, which is interesting, is that somebody was talking about this footage that is of... Because that downtown D.C. area, every business and every building in the whole area obviously has a ton of cameras for security around the buildings. Somebody mentioned that the actual wood and lumber and timber that was, I think it was mostly just lumber that was purchased, that was used to construct the gallows. These people came in with a truck and came by to drop off a metric ton of it. And unfortunately, it's obviously something that no one's going to talk about in left media, but it's one of the things that people have been talking about for so long. I can't remember the guy's name, but he was mentioned during the Senate or the House hearing on weaponization of government. With I reference these guys all the time. The FBI whistleblowers. There was Garrett O'Boyle, Steve Friend, and Marcus Allen. The relevance here is that they all essentially kind of had a similar impression of what was the intended idea of January 6th, and it was obviously something to the effect that they would be able to have an event that would force Trump not just out of asking questions about the election, but make him pretty much unelectable because of the behavior that was going on that day for the rest of his life. And they seriously failed on that one when they decided, I think, when they decided to raid Mar-a-Lago, that was really when it was like, okay, this is we've got a serious problem on our hand, and it only got worse and worse from there. But what I find so fascinating is that there was an interview that was played, part of it that was played during that hearing, and I swear I can't remember who the guy's name was, but another whistleblower who I think was with either Capitol Police or a different group. It wasn't FBI. I don't think I think it was like either Capitol Police or maybe a state. I don't know exactly, but I do know that what he said was when they were doing investigations into the people that were there on January 6th, they wanted a situation with how do I put it? Well, I'll just put it this way. They wanted to know everything that happened to the best of their ability, and since the Capitol is just like every other place in D.C., except even more secure, there's cameras everywhere, and so where's the footage of, these beatings that cops got? Where's the footage of Officer Brian Sicknick, who was bludgeoned to death with a fire extinguisher? Oh yeah, that didn't happen. And where's all the footage of all these terrible things that people say were going on? It doesn't really exist. But what does exist is apparently that the FBI didn't want to hand out his footage because their excuse to him was there could be situations where the footage you ask for that may be displayed publicly would have confidential human sources in the inside the Capitol as the doors are being opened. Prior to the doors being opened, they may appear on camera, and we don't want to give their identities away. Okay, that's nice to know now, but the idea that now you're gonna have that guy come out and talk about it, and then you're still going to deny it, and still going to deny it, and still going to deny it in front of Clay Higgins and the House Oversight Committee, and not just oversight, the House Judiciary, the House Ways and Means Committee. I mean, like so many branches, so many different. What do you call them? Conferences? No. Congressional. Committees. So many different committees in Congress talked about this, that it's insane, and yet, there's some belief that, the FBI was just there scoping out the people doing, but no, they weren't. They weren't doing it then, and they weren't doing it when, like I said, when they were using techniques that would be categorized as entrapment by any legal standard for the guys that they persecuted as trying to come up with a plot to kill Gretchen Whitmer because she's so evil, she's more evil than anybody else. And it's like, I don't think that's true. I think you're just angry, very angry. So anyway, let's get to the video today. So partly has to do with Congress, and this was partly what I played last night, but I'm just going to kind of quickly go over it because I'm still a little frustrated at the way that almost everybody is, I think, but I'm really pretty disappointed at how Congress has been not how Congress has been acting, but just essentially the way that that they have kind of dismissed some of the more important points that need to be gone over, and some of the more damning evidence that has been presented, because I don't really know why. It seems like they're waiting for Trump, but it almost seems like they're always waiting for Trump. So, maybe do something in the meantime would be good, but maybe they don't have the spine for it. I don't know. But what's clear is that this whole thing with Matt Gaetz, I really think that it's pretty despicable that, there's plenty of conservatives which, bear in mind, there's plenty of conservatives that are really annoying and fairly dumb. But the what was it? The Matt Gaetz report that was being kicked around for the idea that if Matt Gaetz is going to come and try to get confirmed by the Senate, well, we're going to have this report ready so that Congress or senators will know. Will know all this terrible stuff about Matt Gaetz, and they won't confirm him after this. Well, he withdrew, and he even didn't even seek to come back to Congress. He's no longer a senator. He's no longer a sitting congressman, and he's said that he's not going to be serving out his next term. I'm still kind of miffed about that. And, as I've said, I love Pam Bondi as a choice for head of DOJ and Attorney General of the United States. But it really would have been awesome to have a real freaking, the name of his podcast is Firebrand, and I think that's the best way to describe Matt Gaetz. But because he left, you wouldn't think that there'd be any need, but there is, because they hate Matt Gaetz' guts. That's a weird statement to say. They hate Matt Gaetz' guts. So anyway, but yeah, they hate his guts so bad because of how many things he advocates for that they really don't like. And so they went out of their way to make sure that, okay, even though he's not even a member of Congress anymore, even though he's not going to be seeking his, what do you call it? Not going to be seeking to expand his affinity with any specific other class or anything, or maybe, I don't know. But all I know for sure is he's floated around ideas about working for some sort of media, some sort of media group, which that would be cool. Although I don't know, I feel like sometimes with names that big, it might be better to do like a I'm sorry. I was thinking about gosh, what do they call him? What do they call him? I can't think of his name. I don't know what his name is. Anyway, but anyway, they try to put out this report, even though he's not running anymore, even though he's not congressman anymore, because they just want to bury him as much as possible. So they put out the report, and once again, the House and the Senate, they don't have power like DOJ or FBI or the executive branch in general. They don't have any enforcement arms. They are just lawmakers. So them having the ability to do investigations and things is only to provide recommendations. They're not going to be using this to provide any recommendations. So there's only one reason they would put it out, and that would be to put out a report that would question his ethics in the case of a nomination from Trump, and he already withdrew from that. So the only possible reason they could put it out is that they want to slam him as much as possible. Well, in the process, they kind of exposed what dirty, underhanded, slimy people they are, which we didn't need that to remind us, but it was a good reminder. So I played this clip last night. I'll play it one more time because it's not that long, and I'm not going to get into much after that, but this is really one of the more important aspects, and because I was really disappointed that Matt Gaetz wasn't going to be. I love the idea of Matt Gaetz as they would not stop when he talked about like defunding the ATF or defunding IRS. These just agencies that are so absolutely bloated and damn near useless. They just exist to harass people. The last time they had this major new change for ATF, it was that bump stock, not even bump stock. It was the pistol brace thing. The pistol brace is apparently going to turn a pistol into a short-barreled rifle. Oh no! It's not going to do anything to increase the lethality or the range or anything else. It just makes the user hold the gun far more steady, and considering that the guy made it for a buddy who came back from war and was injured in enough ways to make it very difficult for him to handle a weapon, that's why he made the pistol brace. But because Democrats don't know the difference between a pistol brace and a bump stock, which, by the way, if you don't know anything about guns, bump stocks are really not actually, like, you don't just wander around a store and try and find a bump stock. A bump stock is not really an actual firearm device that's like there's no manufacturers of these things. These are things that people basically are using as a DIY project, because the idea is to use the recoil of something like a smaller sized like not a rifle, not a handgun, somewhere in between. It's like it's kind of categorized like a submachine gun, but they still have to legally be semi-automatic, so they're not really much. They're good in tight quarters because you don't have to maneuver around with a barrel that's sticking out really far. That's really the main benefit of these types of weapons, because if you're concerned about home security, and you have a lot of tight spaces in your house, and you don't want to have to keep ducking your barrel down as you're going around trying to clear an area. If you're using something like a submachine gun sized weapon, you don't have to worry about that nearly as much. And but anyway, I'm not answering. You can watch my show and I'll tell you what's going on. But anyway, so this is like the idea of a bump stock is that the recoil force is going to kind of give enough force to, if you put the stock in a spot that is just in the right spot to sort of recoil enough to bounce off your shoulder and back into your finger to hit the trigger again, so that it's kind of like using its own force to bounce back and forth and back and forth. It simulates a fully automatic weapon. It's not a fully automatic weapon because the difference is, semi-auto means you pull the trigger once and one bullet comes out. Same thing with AR-15. Same thing with legal AK-47s in this country. They're all semi-automatic. There are ways for some people to, if they want to go through the tons and tons of legal procedures and requirements you need to be able to own a burst weapon, like a weapon that fires off 3 to 5 rounds on one trigger pull, or a fully automatic weapon, which means as long as you're holding down the trigger, you will keep firing as long as the bolt is as fast as the bolt can reset to fire another projectile. But a bump stock is the idea of somebody, once again, DIY, trying to make something that has enough elasticity that it can bounce off of someone's shoulder and bounce back into their finger to hit the trigger so that it can fire the weapon and simulate the idea of a fully automatic weapon. Now, a pistol brace is totally different. It is meant for stability. So first off, it's got like straps and Velcro and a grip enhancer sometimes, or grip, a larger or more rubbery grip that's easier to clutch. It's almost the exact opposite of a bump stock, because it's meant for holding the weapon steady and holding it stable. Somebody who is having trouble holding a weapon and accurately firing because they are injured is not going to want nor will they probably be able to use something like a bump stock, even if they wanted to. And so they're only really worried about people who are criminals getting them. But here's the thing: criminals are now going to just print them off of 3D printers because that's mostly what they're doing anyway. So this doesn't really do anything except, once again, just like most gun laws, hurt law-abiding citizens. The only reason I bring all this up is because Matt Gaetz was one of the people who really drilled on the ATF director that was there. That I think it was the ATF director, but it was either him or a extremely high up, like maybe their lead counsel for the ATF. But they tried to defend this decision by trying to suggest that, well, it's a short barrel rifle. Now, first off, no, because a short barrel, like a rifle barreling, is totally different than a pistol barrel. It's meant to increase the velocity by the length of the barrel, providing the aerodynamics to spin the projectile and cause it to go much farther, not just because of the length of the barrel, but because of the grooves that are cut into the inside of the barrel. But the other reason is because like there's not much point in having a shorter barrel on a rifle, except for maybe concealment, which I can understand. You know, police officers would definitely be worried about that. But in general, people do not really cut the rifle barrel because it's just a rifle. Now, the idea of a sawed-off shotgun, that's a different story. And the laws for, you know, short barrel rifles were mostly made, as far as I know, and as far as it seems likely, that they were more made with the idea of a short barrel shotgun in mind, that was sawed off because, first of all, not only is it easier to conceal, but one of the main reasons sawed off shotguns were used in a lot of illegal situations is because as opposed to a rifle that's shooting out one bullet, shotgun is obviously shooting out several pellets that are all, you know, stuck into a wad or whatever you call it, shell for a shotgun round. But so if you shorten the barrel on a shotgun, it's not going to have that distance to travel, and the spread of the shot is going to be much wider, so it's going to be able to do more damage in a much larger area with a short barreled shotgun. That is a totally understandable restriction. It makes sense that people would be, you know, the idea for me is like, why would you not want people to be more accurate? So that one makes sense. The pistol brace makes no sense because even the whole concept of AR-15s are not a large caliber rifle for the most part. Some of them can be made into a fairly large caliber, but most I've seen are about like a 308 maybe, or most of them I've seen are 223s, or roughly around that sort of not quite down to a 22, but like you know, not they're for small game for the most part, and home defense. Now they're still obviously a firearm, and they're lethal, but they're not exactly, you know, an M4 or a AK-47. They don't get up to 5.56 or you know, bigger in ballistics, and it's so everything that Democrats always focus on is so stupid because they know nothing about firearms. And there's this ATF director talking, you know, it's clear that he knows that. He doesn't know even that much about weapons, but he knows more than your average Democrat does, so he's doing his best to feed into that by acting like it's even more dangerous than it really is. When once again, it's just a situation of, okay, make it illegal, the criminals are still going to be able to get them, law-abiding citizens won't, and you're going to just harm them more than anybody else. And it just blows my mind that ATF. Hang on just a second, guys. I'll be right back. There we go. Sorry about that. That was the third or fourth call I got, and I was just like stop. So anyway, I just usually I've told people my general hours, and they all know my YouTube channel. They could just literally go on YouTube and look and see if the little live icon is next to my name. So yeah, I'm sorry, just annoying. Anyway, but with that, I do have something I'm doing, and not related, but I do have something I'm doing in little over an hour, but we got plenty of time, so there's no worries. So I just wanted to let you guys know I will be less than an hour. So anyway, the whole point of all that was to say that Matt Gaetz is someone who will call out ATF. He will call out FBI. He will call out any government agency that is overstepping their authority and overstepping their bounds and infringing on the constitutional rights of Americans. And the Democrats really don't like that. They really don't like that. So that's the main reason why this whole thing had so much momentum behind it in the first place. But it has become apparent very quickly what is going on, and the fact that DOJ, run by Merrick Garland, didn't want to prosecute this. They didn't find enough evidence to prosecute this case. That speaks volumes as it is. So you have that, plus the fact that what do you call it? Plus the fact that he's not a member of Congress anymore. What incentive would you have? There's none other than to try and hurt the guy reputationally amongst his in private or in his professional life, and to basically bury anyone who is closely affiliated with Donald Trump. But this is so flimsy because of the details that why would the DOJ, run by Merrick Garland, who had been following having his Department of Justice be spying on school board meetings and spying on Catholic parishes and not all that concerned with the border and not all that concerned with the crime epidemic in so many countries states that is coming, that have been going all over the. It is. It hasn't really slowed down that much. It has sort of it peaked and it's starting to drop off, but it's still at unsustainable levels. That's one thing they keep saying. They try to keep saying that crime is down. One main reason it's down, by the way, is because people just stopped calling the cops because they realized in a lot of cases the cops just aren't going to do anything, so they're not even going to bother. So that's one reason why the stats are down. But if Merrick Garland's DOJ did not find enough evidence to prosecute Matt Gaetz, of all people, then there's got to be basically the biggest load of nothing that you can imagine. And yet, because the left media is so thirsty for blood of any Trump supporter at any given moment, and Matt Gaetz is definitely a top contender for one of those guys they really want to see suffer. He's somebody who they most certainly were like, oh yeah, we gotta release this report. We gotta release it, meaning members of Congress. We gotta release this report. Even Kevin McCarthy, who still obviously kind of blames, which for pretty good reason I can understand, but I mean, being kind of a passive aggressive kind of bitch about it is I don't even dislike Kevin McCarthy. I think he was wasn't the best speaker, but and was definitely part of the establishment Republican sort of crowd down in Washington. But I will say that this strange grudge he held with Matt Gaetz because of the, if he should have been mad at anybody, it would be Chuck Schumer, Mitch McConnell, and Hakeem Jeffries for essentially always putting him into a corner. Same with Mike Johnson, should be the same way, and yet he doesn't do that either. I don't know why, other than maybe the power is tempting and alluring once they get there, so much so that they can't reject it anymore. I don't know, but in any case, even Republican members wanted to see Matt Gaetz kind of hung out to dry because they just didn't like his personality or whatever. But once again, how about finding some charges with some credibility and some weight, and not just flimsy nothing? So anyway, if you want to hear this, well, you should want to hear this, hopefully. But this is Megyn Kelly's summary of all the information we found out about Matt Gaetz's the accusations against him, as well as the accusers and their sort of credibility and their record. So I'll pull this up. This is a short clip, and we'll just go over this real quick, and then we'll go into the... Oh, hold on just a second. All right, so this was about a week ago now, so this isn't new or anything, but this is pretty... oh, wait, what happened? Oh, I turned off the... Why is the... Oh, wait. Am I on... Yeah, I'm on Alt. Oh, yeah, of course I am. Okay, hold on. Let me see one thing real quick. Oh. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so yeah, this is Megyn Kelly discussing the charges that were released by the House Ethics Committee, which, by the way, the House Ethics Committee has no ethics whatsoever. This camera is really messed up settings. Hold on just a second. I don't know what happened here, but no, that's not. Okay, that's better. Hold on just a second. Let me see if we can... Okay. I was trying to fix the settings, but I couldn't see the picture very well, so... oh no, that's just... Okay, never mind. Oh, wait, hold on. Okay, that's not it. Let me see. Where's the damn... why can't I go to white balance? Hold on. Sorry, guys, this is really weird. Oh, here we go. Hold on, let me change. Oh, is it right here? Nope, that's not it. Oh, is it? Oh, it's weird. I'm sorry, I should have done this a long time ago. Now I am going to end up being too late for this. Let me just see real quick. There we go. Okay. I might have to fix it through the software. What the hell happened there? Oh, no, there we go. Well, oh, here, I'll just do this for now. I think this will help. Yeah, that'll work for now. Okay. Hey, yeah, that actually worked. You know, that's what I think I had the light for in the first place, was when it looked like this. Okay, there we go. The more, the less. There we go. That's better. Okay. There we go. Okay, much better. Okay, sorry about that. That was weird. Like I said, I was trying to. It's a little too bright. Let me turn it down a smidgen. Oh, that's too big of a smidgen. Wait, hold on. Oh, there we go. Okay, I think we're good enough. Oh, I know what the problem is. There, that should do it. Yeah, there we go. Much better. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I think we're good now. Except for that issue. Damn it. Oh, here. Jeez. I shouldn't be doing this during the stream. Sorry. Where's that? There it is. Okay. Keep missing the green screen. There we go. Okay, now we're good. And yeah, there we go. We're good now. Okay. Oh, it needs to go a little bit more in this direction. Yeah. There we go. Are we good now? I'm sorry, I'm a perfectionist about this. Okay, there we go. Now I think. No, too close. All right, there we go. Are we good? Yeah, there we go. Okay, that's as good as it's gonna get. All right. So, all right, let's get back to this. This is Megan Kelly's description. Oh, wait, hold on.
With a jury. So the 17-year-old at the crux of all of this has been deemed not credible by the DOJ, by career prosecutors there. The other is a former friend of Gaetz's, Joel Greenberg. And you're going to need to listen to a thing or two about Joel. Yeah, he's a former tax collector for Seminole County, Florida. You know, Gaetz is from sort of the panhandle area of Florida. He, Greenberg, pleaded guilty last year to sex trafficking of a minor and a host of other crimes as part of a cooperation deal with authorities. So this guy was on the hook criminally and then started talking about whom else he could give up to the authorities. Greenberg was first charged in 2020 with fabricating allegations and evidence to smear a political opponent. He made shit up to hurt someone who is opposed to him in politics. Then this. Greenberg's credibility would be a significant challenge for any prosecution of Gaetz, in part because of one of the crimes Greenberg admitted to, which was fabricating allegations against a school teacher who was running against him to be a tax collector. Now, we heard that earlier in the piece. Remember, I paused and I read it to you, that he was charged in 2020 with fabricating allegations and evidence to smear a political opponent. That's bad. He's got a history of doing that. Is that what he's doing to Gaetz? Then they raise it again here, saying his credibility is going to be a problem because he admitted to fabricating allegations against a school teacher who was running against him to be a tax collector. What exactly were the allegations that Greenberg fabricated?
Here we go.
Washington Post,
This is the
walk us through it. And they do. Greenberg had sent letters to the school falsely claiming that the teacher had an inappropriate sexual relationship with a student. a similar allegation to the Gaetz case. You think?
So, yeah, not only is the accuser herself not a credible witness, the teenager, but the guy who's kind of at the center of it all is kind of a habitual liar and seems to like using the same kinds of same smears for different people. I guess he just knows a lot of people into a lot of shady sex stuff, or it's just him and he's just lying, and he's probably the one actually into the shady sex stuff. But that's usually how these things go. But anyway, so it really is just a nothing. But the House leftists just had to have their attempt at their smoking gun to take down Matt Gaetz. It's just a joke. But anyway, I'm sorry. This is really bugging me. I'm just going to talk this one more time, and then I promise I'm going to leave it alone. But, okay. And I think that should do it. Okay. Anyway, so I really need to work on that camera before I do something else. So moving right along, because we're running out of time, Don Lemon, the guy who really, I mean, he's just awkward. He's just such a weird guy. And if you remember, there was a very uncomfortable exchange with him and Elon Musk when he was first moving into X, and basically indirectly called Elon Musk a bunch of, obviously slanderous sorts of names like racist or just unaware of his white privilege, or all this other stupid, ridiculous crap. And Elon had, essentially opened up X at that point to be a platform for everyone to be able to finally say what they thought on it and not worry about, FBI agents showing up at their door because they were talking about Dr. Fauci in the wrong way or whatever. And, the left still doesn't like that. They still think now that, because the free speech is actually tolerated now on X the way it should be, and not having these strange rules enforced that seem to always favor the left. They missed their echo chamber. They missed their little place that they could exchange stories. And by the way, when they criticize things like, quote, citizen journalism or things like that, it's because they know that they're shit at their job. They know that they aren't, there's very few real boots on the ground reporters these days that actually go out and get the stories. Most reporters for most mainstream newspapers and television are people that get their news from their Twitter feed. They find people or they follow people that find important information, and they befriend them probably and offer them cuts and offer them, things that would be beneficial for them. And essentially just look at the kinds of information that they're finding and run with it, and then just blabber off their opinion that has an extreme bias, and just slap it on and say it's a news story when it's just nothing more than an editorial done by very bad writers and speakers. But in this case, Don Lemon is just one of these guys that you are embarrassed watching him. He's an embarrassing guy to listen to. He just can't communicate well, and he certainly is either so self-conscious or so lacking in kind of self-respect or self-confidence that he comes off as very, very lacking in moral character and actual conviction of any kind. Like, it's really a sad sight to behold. But then you hear what he has to say and how quick he is to rag on everybody else. And yeah, it's a product of the fact that he's not really the most confident guy, but it's also a product of the fact that that he's got issues dealing with admitting he's wrong or admitting that he can be at fault for things, and it's just it's sad, but it's also really annoying at the same time because he's very pompous when he gets on that discussion that you know what I'm talking about, when he's not as bad as like the Roland Martins of the world, like I've talked about before, as someone who's just a race hustler from start to finish, but he is a guy who, like it's interesting. I've watched Chris Cuomo on PBD and talking to other people like Tucker even, and you see the guy and it's like, yeah, he's still a lefty. He's still someone who has values that more align with the left, but it's a world of difference because he can accept the differences between him and someone else and get along and have a conversation. Don Lemon can't stop his offense. He gets offended and he has to make sure that he's offended and he wants you to stop. And it's like, sorry, but if you're offended, you don't have to listen. It's always this problem where it's like, no, I should be able to be everywhere I want and I shouldn't have to listen to anybody's free speech. You should have to go over there. That was their stance on X or Twitter at the time. Is that no, this is our area. You can't just come in here and say whatever you want. This is where we come. This is our safe space. We don't want to feel endangered. And it's just a cowardly way of handling yourself. And quite honestly, like if you can't, the worst part is if you are that thin-skinned, what in the hell are you doing in journalism? Like, it's absolutely pathetic. But I played the clip yesterday with the interview with Musk. It's a train wreck. I'm not going to go over it again, but I will go over this because this is kind of what spurred on the discussion this time. So, if you remember, just before the election, he was trying to convince people who are voting for Trump that the economy actually is good and it's better than it was under Trump now. You just don't know it because you're just not paying attention to the news and like it was this weird, very arrogant way of approaching anybody that was voting for Trump because their lives were obviously recognizably better when Donald Trump was president. But he's trying to tell them, no, you're wrong about your own life. It's like I said, it's such a very arrogant way to come off to anybody. But in this one, it's kind of strange because, first of all, he's approaching another black guy. So he's already got his tone and his demeanor in a totally different place. But when he finds out the guy has values that aren't the approved left-wing black Democrat talking points, then he's got a little bit of a problem with that. So he's going to try and show him the error of his ways, and he just ends up looking like a fool once again. So this is the clip that really kind of brought it to everybody's attention that, man, this guy he lost his job at CNN. He said he was going to go to X, and then Elon Musk was going to help to promote his show or something. But then he's like, I'm not working with you. He's like, barely could get through the interview without being so completely frustrated at how both insulting and absolutely just bewildering the guy is to try and rationalize a position that just makes no sense. So that didn't go so well. Now, because of a quote unquote the constant stream of abuse he's always getting on X, he's decided to move off of the platform. He's only going to do YouTube and of course TikTok, because that's a great step up. The Chinese Communist Party and their apps, that's great. But anyway, I'm sure he's welcome there. But anyway, so this is the first really major bit of content that anybody's seen from him since he decided he wasn't going to be doing his show on X anymore. And I don't think we're missing much. So let me pull this up real quick. This is, if I can, let me make sure I find the right one. I did this last night. I got it wrong, but I think I got it right this time. So, nope, that's the wrong one. That's the one with him there. So, where is it? It might be in the other folder. Oh, no, it was on the PBD podcast. So, at least that was where they're reacting to it. So, let's see. I know for a fact that that was where the clip came from. So, let's see. It might be in a different folder. What is this? Okay, let me go to... I thought I got these organized again, and I didn't. Sorry, guys. Let me see if I got... here it is. Yeah, it's still in videos. So, okay, so this is the just, life enriching content you can get from Don Lemon these days. If you're such a hardcore Lemon fan that you'll be, oh wow, look at that! That turned out much better now. Anyway, here's Don Lemon being Don Lemon.
Who is the real president-elect, do you think?
Donald Trump won, I believe.
Democratic lawmakers in Washington are calling Elon Musk President Musk now, and they're saying Donald Trump is the vice president or the head of communications.
What's? Wait a second. No one said that.
Really? Have you not watched and paid attention?
Absolutely not. I'm paying attention to what I'm doing during my day so I can try and get a better life and get ahead.
Okay, do you have your phone with you?
I do.
Why don't you Google right now?
Yes, tell me.
President Musk and see what comes up.
No. But that's already a loaded question, you realize.
Tell me, give me the sources.
Axios, Business Insider.
No.
We don't trust any of these. The common man doesn't trust any of this. ABC News, Washington Post, New York Times, The Atlantic. I don't trust any of these. I don't trust any of them. I don't trust any of these. We're the common man. We don't trust any of these. No one trusts the government. No one trusts the common news. We don't trust any of that anymore.
Well,
Independent news, we are the ones that own the news now. People trust me. They don't trust MSNBC because I care and I'm actually one of them.
Can't disagree with you.
Okay.
Because I get a lot of people coming to me saying, I only watch, I don't watch corporate media anymore.
Right.
That is just like a man with no moral compass. He went up thinking, oh, look at these sources. These are impeccable. Sorry, Don, people don't, I mean, the game is over. Like, the people who are watching those channels now are the people who are content with just being in an echo chamber and don't really care about reality. They care about hearing what they want to hear over and over and over and over again on a loop. And people that really care about what's actually happening are either watching independent media or watching people they trust no matter what. The whole thing, next time I do a show, I'm going to definitely touch on this thing with Kyle Kulinski and his ragging on Joe Rogan for, quote unquote, not being real independent media. The most smug, arrogant kind of insult you could level by trying to suggest that guy's not really independent because he listens to both sides, and then like wait, what? That sounds pretty independent to me, and it's a lot more independent than you, who can't even engage in good faith with right-wingers to have a discussion. And instead, it's a bunch of ad hominem attacks, straw man attacks, and really just data that you know is from sources that are going to back up your point of view, period. But that's the game. That's the game, and we all know it. It's not like it's a secret much these days anymore, but the fact that it's Don Lemon who's still trudging along, still trying to keep up with that old business model, and they pointed this out on the PBD podcast. You see him out there, and he used to be like, one of the primetime hosts on CNN during the Trump administration in their first term, and one of the most prominent people on cable news. And then he slowly fell, and now he's standing on the street in extreme cold with his little scarf and his giant coat on, talking to a guy about how Elon Musk is actually running the country according to some Democrat lawmakers. No, actually, according to some Democrat lawmakers, they want to divide Trump and Musk at all costs. So they're suggesting this as an attempt to, make it so that they start having some sort of power dynamic. And once again, this is just the left inserting their own mentality into a situation, because if egos on their side were clashing over something like that, there would be conflict. But when President Trump kind of was proposing and meeting with Vivek and Elon about the concept of Doge, this is exactly what it was supposed to be. It's supposed to be two guys with very intelligent opinions that were incredibly well versed and well read on not just current policies and the current American state, but the history of America and where we've been, how we got here, and what has been taking place over the last, few decades, especially, that's made things go on such a sharp decline over the last few years, and how to stop that. And one of them has been, most definitely, I've paid attention to this, and I know that a lot of people haven't, but this bill was just so in line with the same pattern that we've seen from Congress year after year after year around Christmas time. And they expect people to sign it. They expect people to be forced into a position where they're going to have to sign it, because you could see that, Hakeem Jeffries and in the opening clip, him and Jen Psaki are both, yucking it up about how, well, we did our job. This idea that Elon Musk is throwing his weight around and is really in control of it. Democrats are going to work to take care of it. No, the Democrats aren't working to take care of shit. The Democrats are working to take care of themselves and make sure they don't lose as much power as possible. Yet, why is it that Democrats are the ones who are, always yammering on about democracy this, democracy that, and yet insist on bills that people couldn't possibly have a chance to read, let alone have the ability to offer amendments to, or to modify in any way? You just have to vote for it, or it's nothing, and it's a government shutdown, and that's on your head. No, I'm sorry. It's time we turn this around and stop saying no. You're one body. You're supposed to decide these things as a group and then pass them as a group. And what's happening is one side is roughshotting their way into making a bill that must be passed, and then when it fails, they're using the threat of a government shutdown on the head of the other party to be like, nope, it's their fault, they did it, yada yada. And that's got to stop. I don't care who's the one that's holding it up. Whoever's holding it up, they're going to be either doing it for a reason that is to gain leverage for some kind of partisan agenda they need passed, or they're going to do it because it genuinely hurts the American people. And in this case, once again, more spending is not what we need right now. We need less spending. We need people to actually act like they want to drive the debt down, or at the bare minimum stop increasing the debt. And so in order to do that, you got to kind of cut things. You don't have to add a bunch of things, and not to mention things that are absolutely ridiculously stupid we don't need right now. But yet that's what they do, and then when things go wrong, they just blame the other side. So with Doge as a group that can be consulting, it's nothing more than a group of people, or a designated group of people that are operating in a way to inform the president on what the substance of issues are and what the American people genuinely believe as far as whether they approve of it or not. And that's exactly what happened. The American people don't want more spending. They want less. They don't want Washington to be in the mindset of, once again, saying we got to pass the bill to know what's in it. They want people, they want their elected representatives to be able to know what they're voting on and know that it's in their best interest before they vote on it. That shouldn't be too much to ask, and yet somehow along the way, people became far more interested in their portfolio as far as stock trading and less on actually governing and legislating. And it's, well, not really legislating. They would be That's legislating. Sorry, I was getting mixed up with the judicially, but no, they want legislators to be legislators, to write their laws and to to revise them when necessary. But they don't want them spending money on finding out about how cocaine influences different animals on their sex drive. Sorry, that's not a priority of anybody's right now. And yet, these weird experiments or biolabs in Ukraine or whatever it might be are in these bills. And no, it's time for some actual sanity to come over this place, which that might be too much to ask, but I think that at the bare minimum, if it's not going to be that way, we deserve to know about it. And that's what DOGE is for. So I'm very happy about it. Tons of senators are very happy about it, at least the ones that matter. Tons of congressmen in the House are for it, which, once again, the only ones that matter. So, I'm looking forward to seeing what else they can come up with, because, once again, this is just a preview, I think, of things to come. And if this kind of thing continues, oh, man, this is exactly what we need as far as in a second Trump administration. Not just Trump. And that was the real critical problem with the last time he was president, was that he was doing a great job, but this was him on his own with an inability to be able to discern effectively who was friend or foe, and not knowing in some cases until it was too late. And now he's got people he knows because he's actually been there and been through it, and he knows who is he knows who, and he knows some of the signs to look for, and some of the some of the people that can help inform him of the right people to involve and the wrong people to involve. And so I mean, this is just, it's nothing but good signs in this point. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what happens. And like I said, it can't be overstated. This is exactly what we need. And to the other people out there that are talking about how, these couple of billionaires are running the business, I'm sorry, which party is the one that now has, like, I don't know, the wealthiest companies behind them, and the wealthiest global, political donors like George Soros, who has all of Hollywood, who has all, like, where's the argument here about this rich? Oh yeah, the tax cuts thing. Yeah. Guess what? That applies to everyone in the country. It's not just for the rich. I hate that stupid argument, because once again, you'd rather poor people suffer and get to watch rich people suffer than to watch rich people succeed and lower class people succeed at the same time, because it's worth it to you to let those people suffer as long as you get to watch the businessmen suffer. It's sick, it's twisted, it's disgusting, and it helps no one. And so that's why the Trump tax cuts, they have to make sure that it has to be made sure that those are extended, because they're supposed to expire this year, and if that doesn't stick around, we're gonna be at such a huge disadvantage that at this point, anything that goes and tilts in the wrong direction has the capability of really throwing us completely off course to where there's no ability to course correct. There's only going to be a straight and narrow that's going to be able to get us through the next few years. Donald Trump and who he's picked can do it, but all it's going to take is one rogue lunatic that just decides they're going to just burn it all down, and they're not going to be persuaded from doing that. All it's going to take is that to completely just destroy and derail and undo all of the good that could come out of this administration. Now, no one's going to want that title. No, even if they weren't going to run again, no one's going to want that title. So that's not something I'm particularly worried is going to happen, especially right away. Maybe closer to the end of his term, people might be at the level where they'd be willing to do something crazy, but that's only going to hurt their party in the next election anyway, and it's going to be out of desperation and not out of a real way to actually really influence the direction the country is going. So if we can keep on the straight and narrow for the first year for sure, and just a little bit in a second, if we can keep up some momentum for that long, oh man, there should be a much, much brighter looking, like the light at the end of the tunnel should be looking much, much closer by that point than it does right now. Even though it looks like we're seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, if we can get there, it will be like we just sprinted towards it at full speed by that point, because it'll be a lot closer. So I'm really hoping to see that, but you never know with those weirdos in Washington. So anyway, I'm going to call it quits there. I hope you guys enjoyed the show today. Once again, sorry for the strange. This was a weird episode too, because it was all over the place, but there's been a lot of stuff going on, and I've wanted to comment on it all. Haven't been able to. I guess that was just my way of doing that. So either way, I'll be on tomorrow. Tomorrow will be my Saturday show, the last day for the week. And like I said, I didn't need to do it today, obviously, but that's why it's so weird. That's why it's so weird. So, but I hope that it won't be an issue moving forward. But if it is, like I said, I'm prepared to start maybe taking some steps, hopefully to kind of remedy that. But I really apologize to you guys for all the missed days, and I really don't want to keep that up. It's kind of funny, but it's embarrassing, and it's really mostly I'm disappointed because I owe you guys better than that. So I'm really gonna try and make sure that I remember, and just don't forget to when you need to get up, pound a Monster, pound a freaking iced coffee, do whatever you're gonna do, something. Take a caffeine pill. I don't care. Anything. Just keep yourself awake. And honestly, I don't even think it'll take that much. I think just standing up and walking around for a second and then coming back would be fine. But anyway, I'm really sorry about what's been happening before. But I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. So thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Corey Dean. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care of yourselves. Have a good one. I'll talk to you then. Peace.
Now, I can't read it. There's no words on it.
Okay. Sure.
There's no words there. To play us out. What does that mean? To play us out. What is...
For credits.
I don't know what that means, to play us out. What does that mean?